Running out of time, but I want to come back from Iraq and Afghanistan and talk about how soldiers are treated, veterans are treated when they come to this country. Before the program began, I was telling Jim that I went recently to the Vietnam Memorial, and I was so impressed seeing all those thousands and thousands of names on that wall. I found a good friend of mine who died in that war. I found his name on the wall, and it really moved me. And you said something to me that was very significant when I said there are thousands of names there. You said something else.
We feel like there's no exact number, because the Reagan administration lost a lot of stats during the Agent Orange thing. They lost all the stats of cancer claims and everything that happened during the late 60s and early 70s because the Agent Orange lawsuit could have been humongous. As it was, the chemical companies escaped. But the stats would have shown that we estimate 250 to 300,000 Vietnam vets died as a result of suicide, drugs, and cancer. And the cancers were very specific, but the VA refused to deal with it. The other thing in research we found out was that conservative think tanks were working actively to make sure that there was no general claims that people could make concerning Agent Orange and PTSD, which we named. It was Vietnam syndrome. It was shell shock and things like that. But we're the first people, the veterans, that tried to make a case for it in terms of it being a disability. And it was like a joke. It was played down in major media. Bogus, the American Enterprise Institute, a very interesting organization with a very interesting history of providing funds to right-wing politicians, literally flooded medical journals with anti-PTSD thing. And lo and behold, they're doing it again right now. The American Enterprise and Heritage are both funding major articles in medical journals that are anti-PTSD. At the same time, the military, the Pentagon, there's a raft of 513 discharges given to guys coming home. And a 513 discharge means that you are an undesirable, psychological undesirable. So not only are guys that served in Iraq who have problems not getting medical benefits, but they're actually being branded and getting dishonorable discharges. 26,000 of them. That's amazing.
Same as the first responders to 9/11. You see their illnesses are cropping up all over the place.
But we're expensive. Veterans are expensive, and this country isn't going to pay that price, and you know that over and over.
Well, yeah, they're expensive because, going through the claims process, there are many things that are coming up, and you got to go through the whole red tape and all the paperwork. But then the brain trauma issue is still not from the first Gulf War. It's still not being recognized. I mean, they've had court hearings on it, and they're still not recognizing it. And you have veterans from the first Gulf War, that are still suffering from these injuries, and nothing can be done to them because it hasn't been identified.
Okay, one last thing that I want to touch on, and then we have to wrap it up. What happens when you guys come back from war and you've seen your friends die? And then all of a sudden you get here and your other friends at home don't really understand what you've been through. And they say, hey, you're back, okay, so forget all about it and let's go dancing tomorrow. Does that happen? I mean, that shock that, all of a sudden they don't realize what you've been through?
Well, in my experience, it's hard to explain to someone what war is or what were you feeling at the time unless you were there. So these gentlemen at the table, when I speak about something over there about the different levels, even in different levels of the war. I was aircraft maintenance, so I wasn't in the front line, but I still was in the area.
But it happened a lot to Vietnam, better.
You can't, unless you've been there. To me, I can't really.
You don't have to have PTSD to be mad as hell. That's what I was saying.
As a claims rep, you hear a lot of stories from these guys, and I've heard hundreds of them. It's that you don't realize how your life has changed. You could have grown up next door to this guy and went from kindergarten through high school, all right? And this guy is your best buddy. Now you go away and he doesn't, all right? And then you come back and you're still best buddies, but the relationship is different.
Absolutely.
All right, because this individual went and saw what he saw, and this one was still messing around, with the girls on the block and the guys on the block, So, he hasn't missed a beat as far as hanging out on the block and in the neighborhood, But this guy's been to a whole nother side of the world that, he probably didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
Saudi Arabia, I hear something about that. I think I read it in my high school history book, But now he's physically there.
Listen, thank you very much. It's an honor to have all of you here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming out. I think all of us have learned a lot from having you here on the program today. We really appreciate it. We'll be right back with a soldier from the Iraq War.